Good evening. Today is July 16th, 2024. This is a meeting of the Darien Architectural Review Board. My name is Elizabeth Geiger. I am chairman of the board. I'm going to take a roll call of our members that are present with us tonight. We have David Humphrey, Sean Brown, Cheryl Green, Kate Pulselli, Alex Lopatinsky, and David Riley. Missing tonight, we have Anya Jenis, Rebecca Morrison, and Christina Hart. Our first items of business tonight are application hearings, and we're going directly into new business tonight. I believe ARB number 21, 2024 is not here. Crepes, Choupette, I think they're not here yet. So we're going to jump into ARB number 22, 2024, which is at 108 Old Kings Highway North. For an apartment presentation. Are you guys ready?
We are ready.
Great. Coming up to stage, introduce yourselves.
Sure.
Everyone who's talking should be up here. You guys aren't, if you're not going to talk, I would suggest come up and introduce yourselves. Stay on. You can go, there's 2 extra seats there, and then someone can stand.
You got a hurdle now.
Let's go this side. Let's go this side.
You're gonna have to jump.
Mr. Gleason?
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Let's go that side. Yeah, go that side, and you guys can hop up on that.
Hey, good to see you.
Would you like me to open ARB presentation 712?
You're going to pull that.
Certainly. Yes.
Hold on one second.
There it is. If you want to put the boards in front of the podium, that'll work even better, Chris. Right? Is that all right?
Okay, is there a microphone I have to worry about or anything like that?
No, you have to use your tenor voice.
Very well.
So introduce yourself, every member of the party, and what your role is for the project, and then give us an overview, please.
Great. Good evening. My name
Hold on
is.
one second. Thank you.
What's wrong, John? John, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Our tech guy is short on Wi-Fi? The irony here.
That's my chairman, you know, I over here.
That's Vizio Maestro. All right, go ahead.
Very good. So, good evening. My name is Dan Conlon. I'm an architect for the project. With me tonight is Mr. Wilder Gleason, attorney representing the owner, and Sean Shea, the owner of the property. The proposal we have before you tonight is to redevelop the properties at 104 and 108 Kings Highway North. The property is currently 2 parcels. On one parcel, there's a building that had been converted to office use. The other parcel is a single-family residence. The property, if you're familiar with it, Kings Highway North, if you look at this aerial photograph that I'm pointing to here, this piece is Trader Joe's and the Chase Bank next door. These are the Darien indoor tennis courts, and then the Asian restaurant across the street. So the area inside these white lines is our project area. So currently there's a small water course that borders the property. It goes sort of along the northerly edge and then along the street. There's an existing culvert that crosses that water course. Our proposal and our site plan concept is to continue to use that access and develop a parking lot in the center and create 2 apartment buildings on either side. Each building will essentially be a mirror image of the other. They are 3 stories tall with 2 units per floor. So each story has 2 2-bedroom apartments. There's a central core, if you look at the floor plans, with a stair and an elevator that serves the building. Our site strategy, again, was the central parking lot, symmetrical buildings. Architecturally, what we're trying to do with the project is to, well, that's better, is to create the look of townhouses. So the scale will be 3 stories. It'll be residential on all 3 levels. so that the ground level, second and third floor are all residential units. The idea was, if we flip through, we've chosen a color palette from the Benny Moore Historical Collection. So we're trying to use historical colors in a sort of New England palette. And then the massing of the buildings, the facades, if we maybe move to the next slide. So the facades are broken up to give the appearance of a townhouse facade. So there's sort of, 4 elements, all somewhat equal in scale. They're slightly larger on the end, so there's 3 windows across. The center units are smaller parts of the apartments. There are 2 across. We have areas where there are shutters, areas where there aren't shutters. And then, again, we've mixed up the colors to give that sort of broken up facade along with the relief forward and back of the facade organization. Just sort of a little traditional gable roof portico at the entry, and then the central piece here is the core of the building. Kind of keep going. So on the back side, this is the back side of the stairway. The building code requires that we have a direct exit from that stair, so there's going to be one exit on the rear side of each building, and then we provide a path to get around to the public way. And then again, same color scheme going through. Each unit has a small balcony. The ground floor units have a small patio. So that's the general design aesthetic. We do have on these buildings parapets, and the parapets sort of give that sort of urban townhouse scale to the structures, and they also conceal the mechanical equipment. So the parapets are approximately 3 feet above the top of the roof. Our AC units are exactly 3 feet tall. So there'll be 100% screened just by the architecture. So there's no additional screening required on for the mechanical units, because you won't be able to see them. We have, maybe scroll forward to some of our detail sheets. Right, so here's the section showing the parapet wall and then the location of the units. So they're grouped, there'll be one for each apartment, so there'll be 6 of them per building. There's 3 clustered on either side, underneath the taller parapets. The central section of the building, the parapets are slightly shorter, just to give a little variation in the height of the facade, and there's nothing to screen there. And then we'll just have the mechanical access hatch from the stair tower. And then we also provided, based on staff comments, some details just to give you an idea of how we intend to trim out the buildings. So it's basic, traditional residential architectural kind of trim. So we have a watermark molding at the base. Then we have pediment heads on the windows that get taller as you go to the top of the building. So as you go up higher, the pediment heads are a little bit taller in scale. And then we have a built-up cornice that we've made out of standard pieces.
What's the material of the facade?
So the materials of the facade, the siding is going to be duration, which is polyash siding. I have a sample with it that we can pass around later. But basically, duration is a great alternative to other synthetic siding materials for a couple of reasons. Number one is extremely dimensionally stable, and number 2, you can paint it any color. So there's a lot of PVC being used on buildings today, which we can't really use that everywhere in this building because we want to use a lot of rich colors, and PVC does not do well with dark colors. So you have to have a very high light reflectance index in order to paint PVC. And so these colors tend to be lower, especially like the dark red and the black. So we don't want to have movement on the building, so we're going to use some polyash profiles to accomplish that. And I can show you what that material looks like. But basically, and then I just showed you the traditional detailing. This is what a section looks like through that front cornice, and then this is what it would look like in elevation. So again, just sort of, classical New England details and proportioning, made up out of very readily available standard parts. Just a few other minor detail issues. The roof, we haven't picked the final product on the roof yet. We're still doing the analysis of cost and longevity and so forth, but it's going to be white. And we want it white for energy reasons, so it's going to reflect a lot of heat up there. The roof is really not going to be visible from anywhere because it's all behind a parapet, but but that's our selection on white. So whether that ends up being a PVC or a TPO or an EPDM roof, we haven't really decided yet, but I don't think it's particularly important for this discussion. Also on the roof, we're gonna drain everything internally. So we have interior walls, so there won't be any gutters or scuppers or anything like that coming down the side of the building. The only other things I can mention, sort of relative to materials, are the balconies. We're proposing to do black aluminum railings on the balconies. They tend to go away. So if you have 3/4 inch spindles on them, they tend to be, almost invisible. They're on the backside of these buildings. There's not a lot of room between the buildings and the property line, so they won't really be a very visible element either way. We're planning on doing some screening. The tennis court property behind us, we're gonna have an 8-foot fence, solid board fence, and we're going back and forth a little bit now in the final landscape design about maybe putting a gate in there for people to walk through that. And then on the south side, next to the existing residence, we're proposing a 6-foot fence, 6-foot privacy fence. There will be, and we don't have it tonight, but there will be a detailed landscape plan, and a lot of moving pieces there. So we have an environmental consultant, we have a water course, we have a traffic consultant, we have engineers doing the drainage, so they're all got to kind of get their act together to get the final plan put together. But essentially, the concept back in our site plan is that everything that's not building is going to be landscape green space, and frankly, it's not a lot. We covered a lot of the ground between the parking and the buildings and the sidewalks. So this area will all be landscaped, and we have a preliminary mitigation plan for plantings from Alexandra Mock, who's an environmental consultant and landscape person who's given us plants that are appropriate for stabilizing that bank. And again, this is for another commission, but there are no wetlands here, believe it or not. There's no wetland soils at all. It's just a water course. And so we think that at some point a lot of this site was filled because it's all upland soils.
Does the water course require EPC permit?
It does. It does.
So where are you, actually the board was asking, where are you in the zoning process in terms of setbacks, coverage?
So this is, yeah, I can answer that briefly, and then maybe I'll have Wilder chime in, but this is our first stop.
Okay.
We're designing the structure under the inclusionary housing provisions of your regulations. There are a couple of places where we don't exactly meet those conditions, where we're asking for a little bit more relief than those regulations allow. And that will be the subject of an application to P&Z to modify their regulations. At the EPC, we've had preliminary meetings with the EPC. They've made some comments. We're addressing those comments, and Wilder can address the schedule about how we go forward with that.
We filed first with you because you're sort of first up and you work in August, which the other commissions don't. And so,
We actually don't.
We don't
whatever, and anyway, we figure we can at least get the ball rolling with you, get comments, and we will be filing in August for P&Z with a hearing in September, hopefully. I'm advised September is going to be very busy for P&Z. We will seek to amend the DB zone regs to allow multifamily use and to get some relief on setbacks because our parking is up against the
Rear
tennis
yard
court
setback, right.
and right now, and we propose to keep that. Typically they want some distance, but the tennis court people don't care, and it makes no sense not to allow us to use that. And we're looking for some additional relief on some setbacks.
So Mr. Gleason, you're not filing a zoning board of appeals application?
No, because we wouldn't be granted.
Well, that's what I was wondering, so, but you are technically building in the setbacks though?
We are building within the current setbacks. We will modify the plans, the regulations to allow what we're proposing to occur. And we've had discussions with commission staff, and the chairman of the planning and zoning said, we were actually thinking of making this a multifamily zone, and you should do it. We never got to it in the last town, the redo of the zoning regs.
If it's a multi-family zone, then how does that affect the
Well,
setbacks? Does that give you
what we would do is, we would
favorable
allow,
setbacks?
right now dwelling units are not allowed on the first floor in this zone. So we need to change the zone language to allow that.
What is the current zone, if you could?
It's a DB zone.
It's a DB zone. The inclusionary housing provision of your regs allow for some relaxation of things like setbacks. We're asking for a little bit more than what they allow. And we think we have a pretty good argument based on the sort of total development of the site, and we're asking for a little bit more up here, but not asking for any in another spot where we're entitled to it.
Okay.
So-
We don't have to go to that. We just
Yeah,
want to
that's-
clear it. That's not us, we just want to
It's not you, but
Okay, great.
we
Okay.
have indications that it'll be well received, and we didn't even have, I asked if we needed to present informally to the P&Z before we go ahead, and the chairman said, no, just go ahead and file your application.
Okay. And did you guys do any investigating about the destruction of the historic house on the site and how that would be received?
No, because those houses, if you've been through them, while they're over 50 years old and historic,
Mhm.
are not in great shape and of little historic interest. We have not consulted with the historical commission about that.
Have you filed the
We haven't
demolition
filed the
application for
demolition
that?
permit. no.
Okay. Did you guys consider any sort of mansard roof design for this area, considering what was there before? One of the properties with a historic mansard roof style, which allows you to get your third story in a very architecturally interesting way.
It's still there, and honestly, we did look at that application. The proportions of it were a little tricky, and we felt better about the approach that we took and presented to you tonight. But we did look at that mansard idea, and we're definitely working within 3 stories, 31 and a half feet, so we weren't gonna have a pitched roof on top of this for sure.
Yeah.
But we looked at the mansard and decided that we liked what we're presenting to you tonight better.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about visibility of the sort of the back of the buildings off of Old Kings Highway? So if I'm standing with my back towards the Japanese restaurant, looking towards Trader Joe's,
Sure.
and your project is to the...
3D rendering.
I have a number of 3D renderings with me today that I think
Yeah,
might
I'm
help
just
you.
curious how, as a vehicular, we don't have pedestrians there, but as a driving, I didn't see those in the application, got it, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think there's,
So those trees, are they mature trees that are remaining?
there are some mature trees that will remain. It's pretty heavily vegetated on the north side.
Okay.
There's not a lot of room on the south side. And there are some sightline issues there that we have to deal with getting in and out of the driveway. So some stuff that's there might not be able to stay there, quite honestly.
There's one tree that we have to take down. It blocks sightlines.
But this kind of gives you the idea, it's good for scale. So there are several tall trees that we're going to preserve on the south side between, this is the back of Building A, which is, oh no, this is the north side of Building B, I'm sorry. But it's similarly forested, and then the opposite side of that is the parking lot next to the Chase drive-through. So that's actually pretty thickly vegetated there, and there's a little bit of green space on the adjacent property as well. And the south side we'll keep as much as we can. The north is pretty much paved right to the property line currently on both lots.
I tried to put it on
That
this-
was the rendering of it.
Yeah, is that the one you
That
want?
was, that's the view I wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a reason why you didn't choose brick for any of the facades or current building
Yeah.
elements?
I had kind of a similar question, Mr. Humphrey, because it's like a federal style almost building you're going for. I wondered why they put brick at one point, even in the central. It's the
Yeah.
same question.
We looked at brick, and honestly, cost is a factor. It's significantly more expensive, and we thought that the collaborative approach was consistent with a lot of what's going on in downtown Darien right now. There's a lot of new facades being constructed, wood frame construction, and collaborative and shingle facades. So we felt like collaborative was the most appropriate for this
I think
particular.
you're probably
building.
hitting us because we've seen so much of it, we're probably a little sick of it right now. So I think that's probably working against you. or
Maybe.
just-
Corbin is like way.
Yeah,
over there.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
At first I was a little, I was like, it's all crowded, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it kind of grew on me just because of the sighting. It's, my one concern is, it is a little bit from the street side, I'm not gonna say boring, but it's not
Yeah.
presenting a
Yep.
really handsome facade to the street. And granted, there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic, but seems like those elements that are projecting, is there any way like you could link the windows, say with panels or something? I'm just, trying to work within that federal vernacular. It just seems like there's a little bit more, presenting a little bit more charm to the street.
I mean, I think that's something we could look at for sure. In terms of the detailing of the end facades, the site is very limiting, and I have sort of less than 2 inches in any direction for a number of reasons, whether it's a fire truck or a building code issue or a zoning setback or what have you. So it's very limited, and honestly, even the 4-inch thickness of a brick was a consideration for us on this particular site.
I was wondering, this is a highly symmetrical building, and there's a lot of symmetries. The symmetries as you open up, your symmetry in each of the building, and the introduction of the 3 colors that kind of creates this imbalance in a way, but it voluntarily creates this imbalance, so there's not symmetrical everywhere. Can you talk about it to the board about it? Just why pick a dark end and then a brown end and the other and then a light middle? Did you look at symmetrical color schemes?
So our thinking on that was that we liked that the 2 central portions of the buildings were the same on either side. So there was sort of consistency about the color and about the approach and how we treated the entries on the 2 sides. And then changing the colors on the ends was really, we just wanted to shake it up a little bit. And also, because we don't have a lot of room to 3-dimensionally monkey around with the massing of the building, we wanted to accentuate the fact that there were ins and outs. So that's why we chose to go with the multicolored approach.
Yeah, I would have actually been curious. This probably might work best, but I would have been curious to see like an option where it was like, the black on both ends with the central. I think that would have really leaned into that hard federal scape, especially with brick, as Mr. Humphrey mentioned.
Well, I'd be happy to show you that. We're a little nervous about the black. We thought that might be a little
Black or whatever color you guys choose, or the
too,
red, but like a heavy bookended building. I don't know if that would work.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's too much,
I don't know. I mean, for me, and again, color can be subjective, and I can come up with all sorts of crazy arguments why this is exactly the right color here. But truthfully, we're just trying to break it up, and we're trying to use colors that were historically related to New England towns.
Appreciate it.
But I think the idea of, the saturated colors maybe being the bookends rather than being sort of diagonally located, right? The black and the red, brick red. Maybe it's the black and the brick red on the ends to.
Like facing each other?
Yeah.
That could be. I think we also did provide one board where we showed an alternate color, and then but in neither case did we do the super dark colors opposite one
from the
another.
streets,
Right.
the red on that
Yep,
side.
yep.
Yeah, we did show an alternate thing where we sort of swapped them diagonally, but not like you're talking
Right.
about.
I mean, it's these are details, but it would help also with that public view end of the building, be a little bit more dramatic and interesting.
Now you're finding this to be sort of bland.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Hey, I can see that.
Black.
I mean, I'm loving the black, but that's just.
Black and both. Black.
Sean was a big fan of the black, so you're
I
right.
think it's
See?
great,
go
very,
black.
very
Black
bold.
bookends and red bookends.
One thing I'm a little curious is the pediment at the entry. I in some ways, I think, again, this gets into the style. I'm sure you looked at a lot of iterations on that. If that was a flat roof with a cornice, or how would that read? It obviously directs you to the entrance. It just seems, I guess, not in keeping with the rest of the architecture on it.
Yeah.
We did look at that, and we can actually show you that option because we sort of have that in a can.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this board's, me and the board, I would assume, just seeing that as an option would.
I think that's something we could certainly do. you'll see because there's a recess above it,
Mhm.
it sort of created this dark hole when we did that, so we felt like this was a little better. We looked at a canopy roof and we looked at things suspended. We looked at all kinds of stuff and we concluded that either what you're describing or what we drew were the things that made sense, and we landed here.
Okay.
But honestly, not with any great conviction. It was sort of one or the other. I just kind of liked that one a little bit better.
Felt the same way.
But if you know, if you're going for the townhouse look, it would be more of a horizontal entry.
It could be like a federal
Yes.
piece
exactly,
there
exactly.
that's something we could certainly consider. And
That central portion above the entry is probably a little bit too skinny for this, but my mind is kind of visualizing that portion of the facade being brick, and thereby almost kind of helping delineate like, two distinct sides of your building, and kind of bringing up for that clapboard siding, which I believe is one color.
yeah, we kept the color the same and changed the siding there. We went to a horizontal gap siding there, just to kind of change the rhythm subtly. I think for brick, it's a little too skinny. There's just not enough repeat in the element, it would be my opinion on that, because we did look at that actually at one point, and it's just, I wish that piece was a foot bigger, but I don't have a foot.
Wait, Dave, you're talking about just that little central stair portion or the whole?
This piece
Oh,
right
no.
This piece right here.
I mean, that wouldn't impact your cost very much, but yeah, it's probably.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't impact our costs very much at all, quite honestly, but it would impact the magnitude of everything else we're asking for if I made that a foot bigger.
And maybe the shutters in the middle part, make the middle
Just-
part feels narrow,
You need the shutters.
Yeah.
because there's no room for the shutters to breathe on both sides, so it's just, could be the difference.
Yeah, I can see that, but truthfully, it looks better with them, because we drew it without them too.
Do you have the drawing without them? Because I think there was a mutual feeling that the shutters felt cramped.
I mean, I can do that,
You
sure.
easily have that option, right?
Easily.
So we could knock it out, like we agree
yeah.
with you.
So if you give me some feedback of
Okay.
things about the detail of the cornice, or where we have shutters, or where we don't, or, what we think is the right place to splash the color.
Actually, in thinking about the cornice, and again, this gets into Crepes, and again, I'm sure you've looked at all sorts of iterations, but having some corbels like on the bookends or in the center. Again, trying to think of, just simple, just, they don't have to be like scrolls or anything, but,
Yeah.
just to give a little bit of definition, a little bit of added detail. Again, maybe just for that central portion or the bookends, it seems like wanting to have those as individuals, I think to me reads very well. But is there something to give it a little bit more?
Yeah, we can do it.
Detail.
We could do it. I'm always reticent to put wedding
I know,
stuff on
I don't
buildings.
like wedding caking it up
You know,
myself
yeah.
either, but, again, if it's subtly done, if
Yeah.
would that add to kind of
Yeah, it's
making it
possible.
seem a little bit more,
It's possible. We also have, this is somewhat stylized because at
Right.
eighth scale, you can't
Careful
draw those
touching the
details. But this cornice is currently the same proportions as this one, so
Right.
maybe we could fiddle with that,
Yeah.
maybe lower that down a little bit.
yeah,
Because the distance between the top of the window heads and the bottom of the cornice varies here, so maybe that could be scaled down. Those are all
that's,
sort of.
I got it, I was
those are
getting
good
into the
comments.
weeds a little bit, but it's, all things to consider, at least,
Yeah.
from my view.
Mhm.
Well, back to the shutters, if you are gonna keep them, I feel like the ones along the stairwell in the central, they seem crowded, but I appreciate the symmetry. I feel like if you didn't have them, I think it might look weird, so I'm not really sure. But if you already use shutters, I appreciate we talk about, the board, real shutter application, right, using,
Absolutely.
okay. Because I don't see that would be another detailing here that I think would really
Yeah.
elevate
No, it's
stuff.
not gonna be vinyl with screws through.
Yeah, but true
Or
hardware.
it could be the style of the shutter. I mean, if you have like louvered shutters and then paneled shutters, I mean, it could be as simple as that, as far as kind of getting these distinctions without overplaying it too much,
No, that could be, but relative to your comment, one of the reasons that space there is so small is I won't do a shutter that can't cover half the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah,
That's
it's ugly,
Correct.
so, something we can look at.
Could you include the hardware detail when you do that, like for your next presentation, and have it also, I would think it would kind of match the railings, or the black
It's all gonna be black.
railings that you would?
Yeah, it'd be
Okay.
black hardware.
Okay,
And, it'd be pintle hooks and straps that way. I think I'd probably just do an invisible tie back. I don't want to get into S hooks. It's a little bit much to maintain in an apartment building, but.
okay. On the rear of the building, one of the thoughts, going back to that same Central Avenue there,
Okay.
the windows, they seem a little odd, like I wondered if you would just think about, did you consider doing even just a partial window instead of the 2x2 on the stairwell section?
Yeah.
If you just draw, instead of trying to keep the symmetry there, just maybe a small, since it's not a room anyways, it just, I don't know, it feels like it's floating in between floors and reads odd.
It is.
Yes, right. So why the double hung? Maybe like another side. I appreciate the light.
Or like it's just a big fixed picture.
Yeah, it could be. So just, the notion is your head's right here when you're on the landing, on the
Yeah.
stair landing, right?
And it's all double hungs?
So if we go back to the section.
But what about the ones, and the small ones next to it? Using those again, yes.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know, like, or maybe more
Yeah,
of those.
we looked at making them bigger, we looked at making them smaller, and we just kind of landed, we said, well, we'll make them the same as the others. But, yeah, that's
I don't
something we
really
could
feel,
look at.
is it just me?
One thing I do want to do
Because I
though
know-
is just
because
line
I
them up
know
with this
that
door,
it's-
so I think they want to be
It's
3 feet
very
wide
nice
and line up with
doing
that exit door.
Okay,
So
Alright.
that much, but in terms of the height or the light cut, we can fiddle with it. Yeah, I just wanted to show you the section, just so you understood that those windows are at landing height,
Yeah.
right?
yes, I figured they were.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the light. More glazing is usually always better.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the idea.
Okay, so some of the comments that we have here about bringing a little more interest over all around, mostly to the street-facing sides, right? You can do it with color, maybe some detailing with the cornices, talking about changing the size there. Playing with color a little bit more, showing us maybe heavier bookends. Try an alteration like that. Again, you said brick. Is that totally out? If we
I
in the central area, you guys don't even you're not going to entertain that. Okay, you're saying you're not entertaining that. Okay.
not really.
Okay.
What about, forgotten the name, but they cut stone down to about 3/4 of an
A
inch.
thin, it's just a thin,
Been veneer.
Yeah, and veneer stone, field stone,
Uh,
as opposed to brick.
Yeah, it's possible. I just think if you look at how many apartment buildings are out there with this lick and stick stone on the side,
Yeah.
it's just, it's hard to do. It's hard to make the detail look right, because when you have a stone or a brick facade, you want your windows set back 4 inches from the face of the facade, right? Because if you put that skinny stuff on it and the windows are right in plane with the brick,
Yeah.
it's not where we want to go, but.
What kind of Harvey windows are you using?
Yeah, we're using, they're solid vinyl windows. It's the top of the line for Harvey, which is not the top of the line of the world, but it's their top of the line. And then all the colors are out of their catalog, so the colors will be cast into the product.
Will you be able to show us a couple alternate entrances that you looked at?
Yeah, so my takeaway here is to take a look at the cornice details, take a look at the disposition of the colors. I think we generally like the color palette, right?
Yeah.
And play with the shutters a little bit. The central
Yeah.
core here, alternates on that facade piece there.
And provide the detailing for the shutter hardware.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can do that.
Are you also going to show us different ideas for the entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at what does a flat roof federal style entry portico look like there as an alternative. And again, I think that one's in the can right now. I'm pretty sure.
Did
we'll
you do
that.
any studies where the entry portion is projected a little bit,
Instead of pull back?
almost, recessed? It feels a little counterintuitive, like you enter in the
I
facade
kind of like it
instead
much
of
better.
popping out.
The problem with that approach is it's going to look like this, which I think I can get away with for the back of the building with a stair tower. But if my entry has got that kind of proportion to it in the center of the facade, I wouldn't be happy with that. So I kind of like the recess. It also gives us a little more depth without having to pull the portico out too far. We've got a little more depth to stand outside the building in the floor plan. If we go back to the floor plans for one sec. See on the ground floor, that little recess, and it gives us a place to do stuff like mailboxes or the Knox box for the fire department and that kind of stuff in that little recess. So I guess we're going to go that way.
I can also see if it did project, then you're starting to encroach more into the parking area too, because in order to have proper,
Yeah.
shelter.
Yeah, and I wanted to maintain as much landscape as I could do here, and we're tight on our parking, so we got 18-foot parking space and a 5-foot sidewalk, and we're sort of all right on the nose with all those numbers. And then this dimension here is driven by requirement for an aerial fire truck to get in and out, and then that's sort of our front yard setback line. Oops, sorry about touching the screen. So again, everything's so super tight, and all these 10-foot dimensions are code minimums for me, so I don't have to fire rate all the outside walls. Buildings will be sprinkled, by the way, but they have to be.
Okay, so disposition of colors, the cornice building detailing and revisiting the entrance portico style
Sure.
roof. And the other big thing that's missing here that you mentioned at the beginning is the landscape hardscape plan. Like one of the details showed stone wall being built there and a stone entrance. That's lovely. Is that really part of your plan, or is that just for your rendering? If it's just the rendering, take it off?
No,
It's there.
no, it's actually there, it exists.
okay.
That stone wall exists on the
culvert?
site, and when you see the final landscape plans, you'll see there will be a couple more small stone walls, because there are some retaining walls that we need to put in.
Okay,
Small, 18 inches, but necessary to make all the grades work for handicap access and so forth.
encouraged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
so that's all,
Then
that's all
we'll
in
put
the
site lighting too on the landscape.
site lighting will be in the landscape plan as well.
Also, any other hardscaping, if you're considering doing something with the central courtyard there, that could be an opportunity there to use, some sort of paving, brick, stone right in the middle there, if you're,
Yeah, and we don't have our drainage design done yet, so that may be part of it.
okay. All right, foundation planting, and also mark on there any trees that are coming out, and what's coming that's new, but anything that's being removed needs to be
Yeah.
marked on the plan.
Yeah, so Matt Pop is doing our landscape plan, and Land Tech is doing the engineering, and
Okay.
Alexandra Mock is our environmental consultant, so there were too many moving pieces to get
Yeah.
that together for this first meeting
Okay.
today, but we did want to talk to you about the architecture so we could respond to that while this other stuff is going on.
Okay. If you guys do have a plan in the meantime, before our September meeting, and you want us to take a look at it, we have a landscape designer on the board.
Great.
You can send it in informally to Hervé, if you'd like us to get some initial
We
quick
would like-
feedback.
Yeah, and frankly, I would love to do the same with the architectural things.
That we probably won't, I think, you can look, we won't talk about that as a board. We're not allowed to do that.
Well, I guess, so I got some good input today, and we're gonna come back, it's gonna be September, right? So it's 6
gonna
or
be
7
September,
weeks
yeah.
away, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, you should definitely submit it early. Hervé and I look at the drawings 2 weeks ahead of our meetings, and we go over, we look at things to match up what we heard in the meeting if they were met. So we can give you feedback and be like, I don't think you hit this mark here. We can kind of do that.
Okay.
But any sort of board collective feedback, we can't give you without being in a public hearing.
yeah, just looking at the,
Yeah.
sort of, while they're put together this queue of all these approvals
Yeah,
they need in the
yes,
order of it, and
yes.
it would be really nice.
This is
to-
why you pay them the big bucks.
It would be really nice to get through on September the 4th or whatever that day was. Yeah.
The brook is feeds into the Good Wives River. Does it have any flood dimension to it, or is it,
Well,
it's like a no problem brook?
It's a 500-year flood.
Right, so you guys
So
are not,
not
you're not
doing
elevating
It
anything.
doesn't go up,
You don't have to go up.
and frankly, we're already out of the flood zone,
Okay.
quote, and we're going to elevate a little bit, just because the street is a little bit higher than the grades of
Yeah, yeah.
the existing
okay.
grades.
Is
So
it a
this
slab
brook,
on
by the way,
grade?
it appears out of the ground, becomes a brook across our property, goes back into a pipe across the ground and underneath 95.
And it drains behind the condos, there's the wetlands behind the
Right, right,
condos.
Yeah,
Woods
okay.
Lane, next to, behind Pete Grant's.
Yeah. Right.
It's not related to the exterior, but is it slab on grade then for the first floor?
Yes, slab on grade construction. Yeah.
With some small crawl space that we have.
No crawl space,
No, I thought we,
no crawl space. It's all gonna be slab on grade.
okay, so we're not gonna need mechanical.
Yeah, again, this is gonna be an all-electric building,
Mhm.
all heat pumps on the roof, every unit has its own
Got
heat
some
pump.
good real estate for solar up there too.
Could be.
Just saying.
Yeah, there are amazing incentives right now for solar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's amazing incentives for anything that reduces.
The process is torturous.
Are these for rent or for purchase? What are we-
Haven't decided yet.
Okay.
I'll just let you know about that, the ditch in the front. Rick Talamari from the wetlands wants us to enhance it a little bit.
Yeah.
Getting back to some of the stone work or the brick. I don't know if you've seen the property and what I'm up against, the Fuji restaurant, which is, I don't know if it's in business or not. I-95, 30-something feet of tennis court behind it, back of Trader Joe's, crappy little house to the left. I want to put the money on some trees in the front to screen I-95 from sound and stuff. That's where I want to put the money. I think you're really not going to see much of the back from that property. And so when you do, I do want the approach to be nice. And I'm all for losing the shutters. I think he did a nice, we talked about actually having the darker on the two front, and we thought, oh, they're not gonna like the dark, so we'll put it on, we swapped it. We went back and forth. The front portico, he had Dan had a nice drawing with a flat top, and it looked contemporary. It just didn't look right.
Even with like traditional federal style kind of
Yeah, you can
accents
make
and
the-
stuff, building it up?
there were a
Yeah.
couple of different versions. I mean, you'd have to make it,
Yeah.
And it interfered with everything else, but we can look at that again, because I wasn't 100% sold on that front entrance either. But to break it up a little bit, you know, it is set back to break the building up. I actually like what Genevieve's did downtown with all the different colors, and that's kind of where, you know, we thought it was going, and none of those are really brick like everything else. Like, I don't want it to look like a bank, you know, or, so it's just, and I don't want it to look like an apartment building. But I will tell you that I forgot the guy's name from the head of the Plan Z, David Old. Steve thought that it might be a good idea for the town to use that as far as their affordable housing. So.
To use what, this?
The building, to buy the building.
Yeah.
And then they could take it over if they want. Right now, I'm just trying to get through you, EPC, and planning and zoning. And P&Z, when we had the initial hearing, they said, can you do more units? And we can't because of the limited parking.
Right.
But they do, you know, you see what's around there. It's gonna be a hard sell if I try to sell it, if I try to rent it.
And
You
it's
see
funny, but
where it is.
it is funny that you say like what's around there, but that said, that is like right down the street from like some of the most beautiful historic buildings. Like it's kind of, there are some places that are gonna, I think, gonna start getting a little more maintenance over the years. Like I think the investment in the Asian restaurant, I think that could step up a bit. But like around the corner there, you've got some great, really nice colonial style condominiums there. You got the art museum, our museum of Darien down there.
no, I agree, it's right, it's
You've
sort of
got,
this
like-
fringe, and it's a
yeah.
very oddly developed area.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
but
hodgepodge.
it's common. We get people coming all the time, like, oh, it's just the side of Darien, you don't have to worry about it, like,
No,
no.
it's important.
We don't like hearing that here, that's what we were like,
We wanted
we're
to look
fixing.
historical, that's why
Yeah.
we stayed with the, you know, I wanted to look like it's been there.
Yeah.
You know, not that I
Right.
just put it there like some of those buildings that are going up on 95, you know, those rental things up by the firehouse and stuff, it looks, drives me crazy. Look, I live in this town too, and I've been here for 30 years, and I've been building here for 30 years, and still been building here. And so, I want to take a little pride into it, and that's why I hired these two guys.
This is great, we appreciate that.
And I'm all for, you know, the shutter thing too, you know, we were back and forth, you know, do we have shutters, get rid of them, do we put them on the end? You know, I can't tell you how much back and forth we went on.
I'm gonna keep going back.
Yeah.
Well, we're pretty close, we're pretty
That's all
close.
right.
I just would suggest that through our next meeting, bring us some of the alterations, let us see, so we can work through with you. If you guys have a preference, show us your number one, and then show us why you didn't do B, C, so we can all get there together.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right, thanks, guys.
Thank
They're
you.
very constructive.
Appreciate it.
Is Crepes Choupette here now? No,
Did not get the memo?
I have no idea. No, Crepes Choupette, okay. All right, we're gonna move on then with our third application on our agenda today, which is ARB number 23, 2024, at 78 Heights Road for Cosmos Cafe. That is at Darien Commons, in the Norotan Heights downtown business district area.
This belongs to you.
Oh, you give it to Liz.
Thank you.
Of course.
So you guys, you've been here before, but you know the
Yeah.
drill. Introduce yourself and what your relationship to the business. And
Nick Castiglione, I'm the operations manager for this project, and you guys know Julie from.
No.
Yeah, we've never seen it.
She's my bodyguard for the night.
It's true. It's a good bodyguard. It's a good bodyguard. Totally.
That's funny. Julie Brock with DNA Consultant for Federal Realty.
Last time we were here, we came in for the signage, which you guys graciously put approved. We really
Looks
appreciate it.
good.
And it's up.
It
It's up,
just-
looks
yeah,
good.
it just went
Yeah,
up.
looks
Yeah,
great.
it's
Started
very
the
exciting.
presentation, I did the presentation like 2 days prior, but it's up and it's, with the help you guys, getting the blade over to where it is now was very helpful. And it looks, to be honest, looks better than what we had proposed. Today, we're working on this little nook here. It's our patio. Currently, it's, you can see Mojo, as you know, they're using their spot. This is them as well. It's, you know, that won't be there, but that is our spot.
So it's zoning wise, it's a temporary use that's been kind of allowed for a moment
Yeah.
to expand a little bit until Cosmo is ready, and then they'll remove those 2 tables.
I see.
Yeah, exactly. They're nice.
Okay.
It's better to have that section with people, and I think everybody's eyes to have it busy. So more power to them. I hope it's really working out for them. Really nice people to be neighbors with. But as you can see, we want to keep it pretty much the same as what everyone else is doing. We don't want to stand out. We want to stand out in a way, but we don't want to overstep boundaries. We want to keep the same facets like Moto has. You can see in other pictures that Sweet Greens has, where they have the small tables, they have the umbrellas. Moto right now has these partition barricades out, more to define the space and I think the walkway. We could do the same. It's something we talked about that we want to get in front of you. We propose that we are doing it, but if there's any pushback, we're not married to it. But as you can see, Sweet Green, same with the umbrellas. They use planters instead of the partitions. But this is along the same lines as what we would like to go with. A little bit minimal on the partitions. I'm sorry for touching the screen. It's, I should have learned my lesson from the previous high tech for me. The 2 6-foot partitions horizontally cross, right next to each other. 4 2-tops going long, which can be condensed into one long table if necessary, and the 4 4-tops with proper spacing in between the tables, the walkways, spacing towards the store. This is the front of the store. So it's pretty much just taking advantage of the space that we have and staying consistent with what's already there.
So Nick, I wrote Julie and Patrick about this. The board, I haven't spoken to the board about it. But
And Nick is
Yeah, but-
so one of my initial struggles with this, like, great, in a normal situation, I'd be like, great, sounds good. But the idea that you're keeping with everyone else, that was kind of, I guess, a disappointment to me, because I feel like it's more of a unique space you have there. And the typical tables and chairs you see at Sweet Green and Molto, they're not inviting. They're not like you want to sit down and I mean, they're functional for me.
Yeah.
Like, not as more atmospheric. And I wondered if you guys, or why you wouldn't consider a different approach here to make it more of a place that people might want to sit down, grab a bagel, and have a more casual sit down versus the more formal, let me sit at a very set up chair and table situation like
That
that.
was
Are you
actually-
suggesting lounge furniture rather
Something, just
than
something more
tables and chairs?
organic
Like
to
the
that.
space between the coffee shop and the restaurant, there's just general seating there that combines tables and
Yeah.
like yeah, that was actually a question I had, is like, isn't that kind of more public use right now as far as gathering? And you said this is temporary use, so I'm not quite sure where that.
So I'm going to kind of chime in a little bit,
Yeah.
because there have been a couple of emails going by, so we'll just make sure that we've got this clear. So originally, that area was more public realm, I guess, with P&Z. And then that little restaurant space, you probably don't know this whole context, so that little sliver, that space, it's a small little restaurant, it's 1,200 feet,
Yeah,
maybe tops,
A
yeah.
little bit more, 1280, I believe.
Yeah. It had it didn't get combined with Malto, so it kind of became, he didn't want that space, but it had a kitchen exhaust in it, so we were like, oh, it's gonna become a small little restaurant, we're gonna save that. So Frit came back to zoning and had that turned into an outdoor cafe area to sort of maximize during good high season, to maximize their seating. So it is now not public realm area, but it has a public realm feel to it because it's at the base of those stairs and kind of the end cap and the stone wall, and so it has this very more grand feel to it. Nick is in agreement.
Yeah, let me,
Oh,
add
yeah,
on.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just something I was learning, this just came out over the last few days. So our mindset was that was our space, that's how we're gonna do it. And the public accessibility wasn't even mentioned, that was never in our minds at all. It just was voiced and we hear it, and to be honest, we like that. And we like the public.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
I was talking to Julie today, one point is just having definition between us and Malto, because Malto right now is, the seating people out there, they have the umbrellas there, and when we're there too, it would kind of be awkward to have their customers come sit in our space, and then either they're gonna be looking for their Malto's waitstaff who may not see it, it just becomes a nightmare, chaotic.
And Malta doesn't want that
Yeah,
even
they don't want
moving
that either.
forward. They're just sort of taking advantage of, they're not open, we've got a couple
Yeah.
tables, we'll
Yeah.
remove this, we're not gonna do this at night sort of situation.
That was the basis of the definition of the space, just to keep the separation. For us, the usage aspect we talked about really is highlighted on a Saturday or Sunday during the daylight hours. When you want the brunchy kind of food and not really the grab and go. You want to sit down with your children and have some place outside. Those are the hours where those tables and the umbrellas to us will be utilized. Are they going to be utilized Monday through Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for us? No, to be honest. Maybe you have a person or two that you see like we do now at Gregory's. But realistically, it's really the Saturday and Sunday hours that we would really want to utilize that space. I think everybody would be in agreement having people sitting outside, sitting down comfortably.
Are you having like wait staff though? Like you talk about brunch?
No,
'Cause
no,
I
no,
come
but
as a mom
just-
with my kids.
yeah.
Like I prefer almost less structure. If it's
Yeah,
tables,
sure.
I don't want to be there. It's intimidating because I want my kids to kind of be free.
I'm
So
the
that's
same
like
way. I have the three, below 10, and they need their space.
yeah.
So we're not gonna have wait staff, we're not gonna have structure, but we want somewhere for you and the family to go grab your bagels,
Yeah.
come to sit down and have a table for where you guys can sit alone. Or have.
But can you do sort of Adirondack chairs and some benches?
Right now we have the
Picnic
Adirondack chairs, they're kind of
table.
hard to
Yeah.
sit and eat.
They're not the most comfortable.
They're not very
the most
comfortable. You're talking about this,
Slide back a little.
yeah, it's kind of hard to eat. You have to sit on
No, that's true. That's
the
true.
edgy.
To kind of cut to the chase here, just to get, so I think the ask is, we've got a shortened season right now, and they have tables, chairs, and umbrellas currently, and I think the ask is right now is if you guys are okay if they utilize this for now, and for the short season, and Federal and Cosmos will then,
We just began the engaging on
Yeah.
how we can come to a compromise. We're easy, we want to fit in. We want the better the center does, the better we're gonna do.
Yeah, as a whole.
And if that's a public space and people are drawn to that spot, it's gonna enhance our visibility, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
We're not opposed to it, but we're just
So you
learning.
have approval of what you're presenting here right now? These
Six to
chairs
eight,
been-
it's
yeah.
6 to 8 weeks,
First- okay, yes.
until the end of
Right,
September.
guys? We're
And
okay.
Patrick,
Then-
and Patrick emailed saying, let us collectively get together. We will devise a new plan and design between a collaboration between them
Mhm.
to have it still be seating and kind of maximize their seating, but
Mhm.
still celebrate the public realm portion of it. Which I think everybody's in agreement for, but I think we're just trying to we're trying to get them open, get visibility,
We
get
wanna be that
bodies
public
out
space.
there.
We want
Yeah.
you to feel comfortable to come with your
Yeah.
children and feel relaxed, and, you know, you sit out there for 5 minutes, or you sit out there for an hour. We just want
Yeah.
you guys to feel at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say the public space on the other end between Seymour's and Gregory, it does really well, like that, the
fountain
alteration of like
area stuff.
materials and seating options and, I don't know, that works really well. It's like, it's not intimidating, it's not like, it's inviting.
Yeah.
No, it's very
So,
open, it's very open.
There is such opportunity here.
Yeah.
Agreed. If they want to put a little fire pit outside, that would be nice.
We can get a blue flame, so it's here.
Well, you also have,
Dave Humphrey would have been up
We do
for
s'mores for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
you also have the opportunity with that curved wall, which is really
Yeah.
giving you
Yeah.
a back to.
It's so fun.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You have an enclosed, yeah.
This doesn't show, but I think it probably want to be,
I
the
think it's an-
organization can be more.
It's an
You can do
important
a great
space.
build-in
When-
with-
When you first
yeah.
turn in from Heights Road, when you come up, you see that space. That is where your eyes are at. That's why I hope for the, whatever planet, the people seeing other people, I think that draws more people. And that's appealing to me. And
If you were in Paris, there'd be little 2x2 tables all along this wall.
Yeah.
Kind of
And that's
crowded.
That's right,
Tight.
really tight
Tight.
next to each other.
Yep, yeah. Or have a
that's
built-in
crazy.
wood bench of some sort with, with a
Yeah,
table
we've
and
talked
seating
just
on
a
the side.
long
And
picnic style.
even
We're
umbrellas
fine
just
with that
around the
too.
curve, like something fun.
Totally.
So-
I think everybody's in agreement of all of that.
If there's, I know I'm not sure, we don't want to overstep boundaries, but if there's a say or guidance that you guys want to give or
Yeah, if you guys have
communicate with us.
advice of what you want
I have a
to
quick
see.
question.
Yeah, go for it.
What are your hours of operation?
7 to 7, maybe 7 to 8, depending on the community.
Wow. A bagel 8 at night, I love that.
Well, we do.
True New Yorker.
No, the bagel places close at
Yeah.
Yeah,
two.
great.
Is
that right?
But we do
Right.
some sandwiches, we do a little
Yeah.
food. We want to also cater to the residents above us. And to be honest, the business in that center is a lot of it's driven by pickup, delivery. You know, a lot of people coming in around the 5, 6 o'clock, or coming off the train and grabbing something and going home.
Huge train stuff.
Equinox, people coming out of Equinox, we'll have smoothies and juices. So that'll be part of our business. And if it doesn't work out, if we're sitting there from 4 to 7 doing nothing, then in our lease, it says we have to be open 7 to 4, I believe. But we're hoping to expand on that, just because we want to be more of that community place. We want to make the deliveries upstairs.
You get that that Mr. Humphrey's talking about.
Yeah.
People are coming in the evening.
I'll be there.
With their glass of wine.
With their glass,
So,
yeah, with their-
while they're waiting for
Right.
that.
Okay, so you have a favorable report to do what you presented for to get through the summer of the season. We want you guys to
Great,
open.
thank you.
And then we'll revisit this in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And
Early fall,
if
late
any
fall.
board members have ideas or they come across some suggestions in the meantime of some stuff that could be great for this, email me, myself, or Hervé. and we can
I'm
ask them.
leaving a note in here for the winter and check the outdoor lighting.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Because that is why I asked about hours, but if you're closing at 4, it's not gonna matter in the wintertime.
Yeah, I know.
But,
also
it goes
they-
back to the draw. If you, like you said, off the Heights Road, I have to go back over there and look at it at night, because my focus is Walgreens. But, if Walgreens really is the focus, and that's what you're looking at when you come up the drive, why can't you do something to turn your eyes to the left?
Would
And
prefer it.
that's why, let's talk about it for the winter.
Would prefer it, yeah. Keep in mind, going up that stairs, the string lights string up there, so it does kind of get your eye to go up that stair. And I don't think that we want the string lights to continue around the corner. I think that's gonna be a vomitorium of string lights.
No, but what
So,
if- I was
I'd rather
thinking-
do something else
Okay,
than
well,
lighting.
I was
We can
thinking-
leave that out of the brief.
No, but let's talk about it for the winter, but I was thinking,
Well, my
not
time is-
string lights, but something where you have in-ground flush to the patio stone, but aimed back at the landscape wall. Not
That-
up,
yeah,
not
okay.
into an apartment, not into anything, but really low,
Nice.
a glow. You know, you're setting a glow that pulls your eyes to the left. I'm just leaving the note here for the
Yeah,
winter.
no, that's
Like
good,
it.
that's good. But that
Great.
is something to consider, is we've gotta be careful of residential and the back flash up to
Right.
Correct.
the residences.
But it could.
Yeah, but it can go down.
Where
Yeah.
are other street lamps? Is there one in this corner area?
You can see it right
I
there.
see it right there. Oh, I'm not, there, that one. Is there one?
Everybody go to the top.
I don't think there is one on the, you talking about closer to Walgreens?
Yeah, closer to you.
Yeah, I
So
don't think
where's-
there is one over.
There's that one.
I think they
think this is
start
the
at the
only-
corner of the parking lot and then they go to the base ones, like
Like bollards?
the
Yeah.
bollards with
bollards,
the holes
okay.
in them.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty attractive at night.
Yeah.
And going back to
I
the
do have a little
original
bit of
comment
issues with
about
this,
why do we want to stand out, if you have these ideas, please, we're willing to stand out. We don't want to be obnoxious about it, but if you have something more contemporary or a little bit out of the box, we're open to it, and we really are.
Okay, I didn't say this, but there was a bank down the road that lit their wall up on the inside, which had full glass, which I was totally opposed to. I didn't say that.
No, that was it, that's in your comment?
Did you
No, but I mean, instead of putting outdoor ambient light, you could pull off a, I can't think of the name of the bank, but it had the
Indoor.
wall mural on the inside and totally illuminated.
The
down the
projection?
wall.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was-
Oh.
All right, so cross that off the list.
I didn't say
Talk
that.
about
No,
obnoxious.
but we're thinking the same thing, so.
All right, this is great, so we can, we'll brainstorm it,
Yeah,
we'll think about it.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you see stuff, clip it, send it, and then I can, you've got Nick's
Yep.
email, so,
Okay.
yeah, that's great.
All right, this is so exciting, all right,
Okay.
thank you for being
Okay,
here.
great.
And
Thanks,
good luck.
everybody. Thank you.
Can't wait to go there, so you guys
Couple weeks.
opening this next week?
That's
This
right,
week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Hopefully.
okay.
Great.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, our last agenda item of the night, because our final one has popped off the agenda. So our last application of the night is ARB number 24, 2024. This is for 2748 Boston Post Road, Giovanni's. They're proposing outdoor seating, outdoor dining. So welcome, guys. The drill is to introduce yourselves and what your role is in the project and the proposal.
Hi, I'm Joanne Lataraka, one of the owners.
And I'm Sal Lataraka with the others.
And I'm doing the presentation.
Bob Maslin?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
me. Actually, is anybody taking names? I have it on the sheet. Okay, so what I did is I usually do is a PowerPoint, which has pretty much what's in the application. Not every piece of paper, but I think the things that you want to see. So here's, and I apologize for my voice, I'm waiting to get it back. I had something done last week that takes away your voice. So if you can't hear me, let me know and I won't take exception. 40 patrons, outdoor dining in front of the restaurant. You'll see pictures in a few minutes, but it's the area that, as you're looking at the front of the building to the right, alongside the sidewalk and that black railing that fenced it, keeps you from falling off into the river. Tables for 4, they're made out of teak. It's about a 400 square foot area. There's plantings there now, but they're going to be removed and planted elsewhere in the landscaping to beef up the landscaping. The sidewalk and the fence are going to remain along the western side. Existing light fixtures, we have a sample of that here. We also have a picture. Tables are teak, nice quality tables, umbrellas. Access to this will be either directly from outside, but more likely from inside through the dining room. And that dining room is going to be closed while the outdoor dining is in use, so you don't have an overcrowding of people or servers walking through the restaurant part inside to serve the outside dining. The wait station will be located inside. ADA compliant, that's one of the responses we got on in the ZBA application. The existing conditions, the post road is along the top, the building is here, that entrance, grand entrance I'll call it, is here, and the area we're talking about is along in here. Some photographs, outdoor dining area is down.
When you touch.
So, I think you're jumping ahead a little bit.
I know, but.
You go pretty quick.
I don't know how to go.
Oh, can I go? Oh, I can go, I can do this.
Right, yes, so you can control that over
Oh,
there. The knife.
okay.
That one.
Maybe I bumped into it by accident. This is from the sidewalk looking at Stamford along the post road. And I sort of turn a little bit left, and here's your landscaped area. The property boundary's in here somewhere, and that's where the dining is going to stop. This is that existing sidewalk and black railing I mentioned. This goes all the way back to the front of the building, and there's a doorway here that's going to be used for the outdoor dining access. But your light fixture, there's a little low. Sally, you have your,
The back of Crepes.
Yeah.
they're already out there.
They're already out there, they just have to
That's
be-
it. I know you like to see
Looks
samples.
exactly right.
Okay, proposed. All right, so the colored area in the plan is down here on the lower left. The close-up is here. You see the tables are, see it?
Don't touch.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm bumping into the screen. Up here, you can see some insets of photographs, some aerial shots. There's a better picture of this set of tables and chairs. You already saw this, and I did it again. That's the proposed pavement. Sal has a sample of the tile. And
Is that a tile or bluestone?
Sorry?
It's pavers.
Pavers. Weighs about 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And over how large of an area? We're talking like 500 square feet or like?
400.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So it's two different
Two
sizes.
different sizes.
I know why they.
And these are heater units, but there's a better picture as we go through. Now there's round tables and square tables. Be a mix of them. They're all the same color, the same teak, black umbrella in the center of the tables, pretty standard. These are the portable heating units you see that nobody used out in the dining area when needed. You wouldn't need them on a night like tonight. Now, we don't have a sample of the barrier that's going to run along the edge of the pavement to protect and separate the dining area, but this is the best I could do. This is...
So that's from the drive, between the drive and the
Yes.
seating?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need bollards there?
Yeah.
I don't think so. We haven't heard from
Good question to
anyone
ask
on
at
that.
the meeting.
I will.
Because we've had a lot
Yeah.
of those outdoor areas where you have the potential for a car not too far away.
Yeah.
So you may have to integrate your bollards with the design.
With the new dispensary across the street, I would think bollards might be coming possibly.
Really?
I think that might be a safer idea.
You think it's
Maybe
gonna,
we'll get them to.
Maybe we'll put the bollards,
There you go.
we'll put the bollards across the post road.
There you go.
There you go.
Like,
Okay, one of the things we did since we filed the application and as in response to feedback through Hervey was we put these renderings in. So this is pretty much from the post road. This isn't exactly what it is. Oops. But this will give you an idea of the landscaped area with the dining area behind it. And this is a little closer up. Look from a bit of a different angle, you see the...
Is that new landscaping or existing?
so,
the front
It's,
is
it's existing here,
Okay,
beefed up with what's being removed and replaced.
okay.
Are those trees existing?
Sorry.
those trees are
Yeah,
there.
those trees.
They're there?
Yeah.
Okay, close up. You see that?
If you want to
Barrier
enlarge,
here.
if you want to enlarge it, you do this with your fingers. No, maybe not.
Let's
Okay,
try.
It's a PowerPoint, nice try. Didn't do it, all right.
Apparently, what's this thing?
I don't know.
I'm afraid you touch it.
Don't break it.
Okay, I'll try- I wouldn't.
Two different views.
Please don't.
Questions. So that's basically it. It's nice and simple. What's interesting about all of this is our friends in the legislature must have gotten quite a bit of input from people when COVID hit and the governor decided to allow restaurants to have outdoor dining. It caught on. And now it's permanent. There's a statute that actually says if the restaurant is an allowed use in the zone, the Planning and Zoning Commission is required to allow it. It's like an upright use now. You don't have to provide additional parking. You don't have to replace parking that you're taking up with the outdoor dining. It's pretty flexible concept. And I think built into that is kind of the idea that
Well,
in this area, outdoor dining.
It's a
is
great
not
idea. It's the only
12-month
outdoor,
thing.
I think it's only like public outdoor dining on the water
Nothing if not.
Yeah.
in Darien.
Yeah. And
My
this
one
building,
comment on
this
it-
property is a landmark.
It is landmark. My one comment is I feel like the big concern would be that wall between the road and that parking, because you want to make people
This?
truly, like,
Yeah.
I think a lot more investigation needs to go into what that is to create that atmosphere you're looking for, to create that sound barrier, to create that safety barrier, and to create that like physical, that like environment to where you feel like you're part of like now you're all of a sudden shut from the road and part of the water.
Well, one of the things, excuse me, one of the things that we did in coming, originally we had the barrier and then the bushes on the inside. So instead, we did the bushes on the outside and the barrier
Kinda see that
there.
here.
So that was one of the things that we changed over. Nobody will be able to go from the parking lot, technically, no one is allowed to go from the parking lot into the seating area because we will not have personnel out there. They have to come in through the front door to the wait, to the hostess station and then go through the other room to go out there. So it's not like we're gonna be walking them from inside to outside and back again.
Is there a wall here on this side facing, like, closing this?
No,
that's the plan.
we didn't do that because.
That's the road
No, it's not.
No,
There's a
it's
big
well off.
barrier in
It's a big
between
barrier.
that.
of
It's-
landscaping.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's
almost-
far from, it's.
That's all state right away.
Yeah, that's that big state right away.
Yeah, sure.
But
That's it.
people, but people can see the road though. If you're dining there though,
Keep going.
you could see the road.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
got
yeah,
lots
yeah,
of places
yeah.
in Darien
Okay.
that we're seeing
Yeah.
roads, I mean,
Liz,
we just, I didn't want it to feel so boxed in, but
Yeah.
I mean, we could go across if we had to. It's far enough, it
But there's
is.
that whole planted island between the seating and the road.
Yeah.
There's
You're not
quite a bit
creating
of screening.
There's
You're
a
not
lot,
gonna
there's a
have,
lot of
there's
stuff.
so much you can do
Okay,
to
so-
reduce the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the road.
Here's this is the boundary, this is the post road, so
Yeah.
there's quite a distance there.
And you're on the curve.
And you're
So
limited,
when you're standing there, you're seeing more of the bridge.
I just want it to be successful for you guys. I don't want
No,
you guys to go to
I-
all this trouble and then people be like, I feel like I'm sitting on the road.
Trust me,
So that's why I'm bringing it up.
I agree with you.
Is
Okay.
our goal
Not
to
sitting on
make
the road. I
it
mean,
a
Far
more,
from the road.
Yeah, and when you're there, you're looking more, you're tilted more towards the bridge, the way the curve is of the post road, so you're not looking at, it's this way, and so you're towards the bridge and the beautiful dispensary. To put it in the best way possible.
actually, it's gonna work out better because if a customer goes across the street and has the munchies, they have to come through the
That's true.
and get screened
That's true.
before
We
they
could
get-
only laugh about
Smell,
this, I
yeah.
mean, it's not.
is your goal to make it sort of a private little dining enclave outside, or
Just
is?
for outdoor dining, so many
or is
people
it-
come into our restaurant and say, oh, do you have outdoor dining? Like, you're near the water, do you have outdoor dining? And the answer is always no. It's been no for 30 years. So I think it's time to change it. and give
I mean,
people
during
what they
COVID,
asked for.
people were literally sitting out in the back parking lot.
During COVID, we
You
were
know,
able to
and
do
that
it in the
was,
back parking
you
lot
know.
because that was COVID.
And also, I think in terms of zoning, you guys did explore having some outdoor dining in the back area of the
Yes.
parking lot, and that was ruled out.
Right.
If I know.
Functionally, it just doesn't work.
I know, and then.
Yeah, because my restaurant and my kitchen is
With
mostly
the
in the
service in
front.
the kitchen, it doesn't.
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to use my ballroom if I had dining in the back, because I can't cut through an event, you know,
Sure.
on a Saturday night, to cut through and go in the back and serve people if I have a wedding or an event going on. So the only logical area for outdoor dining would be in the front, and there's, you could see the water on that side, and it's the only real place that you can really do it.
Yeah, if you look at, even if you look at the photo, it's tilted.
Can you go to the photo that showed, from Boston Post Road to the building, it showed the Italian front? It was a double image.
Oh, double.
Oh, that would be one of the
One more
renderings.
It was a rendering.
Go back. I mean,
Oh, the
go forward,
renderings?
forward.
What, this is.
The rendering.
It's after that.
Photo or rendering?
Rendering.
There was two images, top and bottom. and
That-
Those
that's
are
a render.
renderings.
Those are renderings.
Rendering.
That was, yeah, and that's the one I enlarged on the different.
But it's in this deck too,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, no, it's.
Oh, go ahead.
There you go.
There you go.
Those.
So, this is a question for you and P and Z, that nobody has an answer for what is required for the bollard / fence between the driveway and the patio yet. Let's just assume that it has to be a bollard of some kind. So, while I was thinking about this, if you're looking at this and I'm going to dinner at an Italian cafe built on the side of a Sumer or Monte Carlo, it's gonna have a 3.5, 4 foot high wall on the backside that goes all the way around, you know, when you're sitting with your table and chairs inside. So is there a possibility that they could build, a half height wall, 3.5, 4 feet high, that matches the facade of the building? So it gives you an Italian-side look that.
Yeah, sure, it'd be more, if you do a wall, I don't know if they have the space in terms of
You know,
thickness
it's like
for
a
the
D
wall.
wall.
But at Quattro Pazzi, they put bollards inside the planters and the screening in the front. You actually don't see them at all. And they're spaced very smartly so that you have absolutely no danger of the build, there are like 6 or 8 of them. And when you approach the restaurant, you really don't see them. And these are big metal poles that are, drilled into the ground, and then the planter goes around it, so you have plants in there. So that's the kind of solution they can do. If they want to go with a wall, that works well too in terms of use, but then it's more, to make a wall be thick enough to be strong for hitting by traffic, you gotta get a 1 foot minimum. So you may not be able to.
You lose the space.
Yeah, no, space is a premium because it's a pretty narrow little
Yeah.
space. I mean,
Right.
already as it is, it's
I'm
quite
not
a
trying
few
to crowd a
quite
lot
few
of tables in there, just don't want a few tables.
You lose the look too, because you can bury the,
Right, and
camouflage the bollards.
Right.
In Quattro Pazzi, it's 6, 7 feet off the road.
But see, the thing is,
I mean, only.
this is a drive to and around. You've got cars here. So I know you're not saying it's high traffic, but you can have any bad driver bringing or picking up someone and just, going right into it. So I think you're really, sorry, as a zoning person, I can tell you, I think bollards are needed there. I mean, I would be very surprised if Mike Beatty said, yeah, no problem, you can just drive through the fence. And it's just not gonna happen. So I think it's part of your plan. And if you can integrate it aesthetically, which I think you guys are trying to do, and provide a little bit more of a, screening in the back for the tables to have something that would probably work well.
I made a note, ask Mike Feedy.
Yeah, you will.
We'll let him sit there first. I said, we'll let him sit there first. See what he says. No. Okay.
I mean, you went through quite a bit of effort to get that porte cochere drive right?
think?
Yeah, so I mean, I know because I've been given a little bit of background on what.
But the
what
bollards
happens.
that you're speaking of, they would go around the curb or right, no, I know.
Where we have the fence.
Here in the front or
Where the
where we have the
fence
Where
fence?
the fence is.
Where the fence is.
Instead of
For
the
the
fence.
fence.
Where the fence is.
Not
Go
instead.
back, go back to the seating.
Well,
yeah.
part.
depending
Because
on
they-
if we're trying to
I
camouflage
mean,
it with something
right.
else.
Yeah,
Where
no,
the
no.
fence is, not
Okay.
where,
I go back,
Oh,
go
so
back
back
one.
to
the- go
Okay.
ahead.
So right where
Where
you
the
got
black
right
there,
line is.
okay.
Don't touch the screen.
Don't touch it.
Hands up.
Don't touch it if I touch
All right, right there. Okay,
it, right along here.
yep,
Well,
okay.
so go back to your functionality
Every
piece. So
6
you
feet.
were talking about this, you don't want anybody walking from the driveway parking lot directly into the seating area. So the more solid, I'm using the wrong word, the more solid that becomes,
The
the
more. of a
more
barrier
inviting
it
you
is.
have to go into the front door.
I mean, there's a
Right.
telephone pole, right, like,
Yeah,
just
down towards the
maybe,
end.
right there, yeah. Right, like 2 feet away from there, there's a telephone pole, right there.
I wish I could zoom on this plan, but I can't. This is a PowerPoint.
Sorry.
Can't zoom on it.
All right, so you guys need to check in with, further planning and zoning and come back and show us again a proposal that I'm pretty sure you're gonna need every outdoor seating we've had here, there's been bollards. Everyone, the Goose did it, Bodega did it, the guys did it, back Corbin had to deal with
Goose
that.
doesn't have bollards.
The Goose is putting up bollards,
Oh, they own the
cement
back.
safety for their back.
Those big
Yeah,
It's all in the back
it's
part.
just a parking lot.
That's because it's sitting in part of the parking.
Yeah, but this is an actual driveway, that's a parking lot.
You have a
But-
big cooler.
So, but I think that's gonna be part, I think you guys are gonna want it, I think you're in it, but
For
if
safety.
that's the case, you need to come back, show us how it's been integrated in, and also your final fence choice. I don't know if that's a proposed one you showed, or like, looks great, but make sure, come back with an actual
Well, that's the
final.
fence, that's it.
That's the final selection.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, so then let us know how that's gonna integrate in with a proposed bollard, because all this work, you're gonna wanna have something to
So
screen
would we,
better.
I mean,
Well, here's what our,
the bollards in the front or in the back? Like,
the application process, because this has been a non-conforming use since 1929, it, for some reason, all of the applications have gone to ZBA. So our hearing at ZBA is in September. It's
Okay.
not the usual
Well,
stop here and go to planning
I
and
think
zoning.
the
It's
board's in
just
support of what you're doing here, you're not gonna get held up with us, but it's something we need to see the final detailing. So we're not, we don't need to hold you guys up.
Can you
I-
write something?
I
so
can write
at least we
something
can get it
to,
to
I think
ZBA?
Barb Hazelton is the head of ZBA now.
Who's
Well, who's that? I haven't heard of her.
Yeah, I happen to know her. I can write her a letter that we're supportive of.
She's chairman now, our
I
chairman.
believe she's chair, I believe
She's
she's
the
chair.
chairman.
Yes, okay.
So she has a big
What happened
hammer?
to Steve?
This is true.
Oh, no, ZBA, that's,
ZBA is where you're going?
I'm even confused.
Yeah, ZBA or PNC. I can
ZBA.
absolutely write a letter, say we're supportive of it, but at some point, we need to see the final details, so you can go to them first and come back to us in September. But also, as part of that, we need to see a better planting plan. Like what you showed on any of the renderings you put together, I know those are just quick renderings, but they're not reciprocating what's actually there. Like there's a lot of juniper in there, and I've got notes from our landscape designer who can't be here tonight, but one of the things they suggested when you're putting together a landscape plan, if you're doing new stuff or if you're just replanting, let us know what you're doing. Are you replanting, are you adding in new stuff? And if you are, she talked about an opportunity for some grasses, because you're on the water there, which would be great, and that could do some good shielding. So she threw out some Mexican feather grass or a dwarf meniscus. Do you know what that is?
Try to keep in mind that this has been to ZBA and the landscaping in the front, especially since the bridge work, has
Was
been
dictated.
a very well-planned out, detailed thing. And what we're really doing is transplanting.
Okay,
And that's basically it.
so then when
We
you,
were dictated what we could put up there.
okay,
With our other project, we were told this is what you would need to plan.
And part of the problem is yes, and again, because it was so long ago, and hopefully we're not going through this again, we would submit that we're putting in juniper.
okay.
We go to get the juniper, and it's not available at the time that we're planting it, because, so now we find something that's similar, we plant it, we tell them, and we get yelled at. So, there has to be a little wiggle room, and again, I'm praying that this is not gonna take the years that we did there, so
Yeah.
that, new things come up. I would have loved to put grasses, I have grasses all in the back, okay, so, Again, you know.
That goes back to this situation where the ARB likes to see one particular thing, the ZBA wants to see something else.
But
And
simple,
on and on.
simple as this, when you come back with the revised plan,
Okay.
have it
Yeah.
accurately reflect what's going to be there.
Absolutely.
And mark it,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, not a problem.
I think you're gonna need that for ZBA anyway. so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So you're looking at September resubmission and then so this is not gonna happen, this open air season?
I guess not.
I guess. I guess not.
I wanna make that statement because
Thank
it
you.
has to get approved and.
Yeah.
and
The
I wish-
season's lost.
I wish we could expedite it, but it's not
Well,
possible.
listen, the weather just got hot, don't worry.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Hopefully
We're
it'll
gonna
stay
stay
hot.
till November.
Stay hot in October,
Thanksgiving
November.
will be outside
It'll be
barbecuing.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's all
So
good.
can we get something to you before we have to go to the ZBA?
Well, you're gonna write a letter.
I can write letter that
You're
we're
good with
progressing to a favorable report,
Sure.
but we're not there yet. I'm happy to do that. But I think we meet after the ZBA in September, I believe, I don't know, maybe the same night. I mean, is it I don't know if it's ZBA or P and Z, I don't know what you're,
It's ZBA.
ZBA.
ZBA we're
Don't
going.
make me
Yeah,
spin my
ZBA,
head, please.
Not P&Z.
I think the ZBA is the Wednesday before P and Z.
Did
Tuesday.
planning and
Okay.
zoning already see this and approve
Planning and
the
zoning
concept?
doesn't get involved with these.
They-
Planning and zoning commission doesn't get involved with this property.
They get
Really?
involved with seating, outdoor
This-
seating, every single outdoor seating in town.
It's because they're permitted uses in the zone.
because I think,
So because this one is
This is
not. it's a
this is,
ZBA
the
only.
way the statute runs today,
That's-
8-1 CC, there's a copy of it in the online thing. If it is a restaurant that is a permitted use in the zone, then you have outdoor dining as of right, provided you meet certain conditions. For example, you have to have a 4-foot wide pathway to go through, so where the public would be able to walk along a side. You can even put it on a sidewalk, as long as you leave 4 feet for pedestrians to walk through. You could put it in a parking lot without having to replace parking spaces or provide additional parking spaces, things like that. And I think it has a 9 p.m.
okay.
time limit.
Who's reviewing the outdoor table volume though? It looks pretty tight. Who, is that not, I thought P and Z did that, or Hervé, is that,
Well,
who's been,
that's a.
Well, that's,
that
I
would be-
think that's what he's saying, so
ZBA.
now, because this is not a permitted as of right use due to the non-conformity,
Right.
that's where you were leading, then it goes through a different process, which is not the planning and zoning or the as of right with the
The way I-
state
the way I
legislation,
would-
but it's,
yeah.
ZBA has to approve whatever's done because it's a non-conforming start.
The way
Kind
I would explain it, I think, is this is a non-conforming use, and any changes in the site plan has to go to
Right.
ZBA rather than planning and zoning. Planning and zoning has, I don't think they've ever reviewed a site plan or special permit application for this
For
property.
this special
There might have been
location.
one thing about 30 years ago,
Okay, I got
but not your ordinary site plan.
right. Okay.
So for outdoor dining, and this is brand new, this started May 1st of this year.
Mhm.
So, again, under the statute, it says the zoning commission shall allow.
Mm.
And that means if it's a permitted use
Right.
in the zone,
Right.
the statute applies. If it's not, then we're back to,
I still think they
The
have to look at the
fallback
table
where-
though, like for handicap accessibility, I still think like, even though it's allowed, it still needs
the
to be. like-
statute says you have to comply with the ADA.
Okay, there you go.
That's plain,
All right.
that's
It
written
might-
right into the
These look a little tight.
They may be.
They could remove one table.
All right, I'm just giving you a heads up. This is not our
That's
zone
fine.
at this point,
You know,
but just a
it's-
warning.
you know,
It's just a little tight.
sometimes it's hard to visualize the tables.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Until you start putting them. Obviously, I'm not gonna put them on top of each other, and obviously, I have to allow for handicap.
Yeah.
This is just a,
all right.
you know, and the bollards, would you say on the outside of the fence or the inside of the fence?
Actually, go back to that painting, the rendering.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have, okay.
I keep thinking about how you integrate it, how you can make it.
Well,
what it
you,
looks
like, the grass would work if you put the bollards in grass in
Yeah,
between.
but-
You almost
all right,
kind
so-
of block the
go
bollards
back
when
one.
it grows, but they're
Go
there.
back one,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Back one?
that one. So,
Oh,
So the bollards would be,
following an Italian concept,
You're back to Italy.
Define it on your own, however you want to be.
Yeah.
But if you look at the black posts here and convert them to bollards, and then you put your lateral slats, your horizontal slats between the bollards, then you've integrated the bollard into the fence, which
It's like a custom fence.
you're talking 6-inch diameter cylinders that are going down, and it's either aluminum or stainless or whatever it is.
You saw another development of mine a few years ago that actually proposed that. You know, where the bollards are
Part of the post.
Part of the post.
bollard,
Yeah.
bollard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I come back to it's like, I mean, I just keep visualizing George Clooney out on his, Italian Riviera. Just like sitting
There's not
in
enough
a cafe
patrons
with
here. Okay,
So,
Okay,
anything else? So,
great.
so you're gonna write a letter,
All right, letter.
and
I'll
we're
express
gonna
our
come up with-
concerns
you're gonna
about
say what you like.
incorporating the bonds for safety, and then overall, we're like, we'd like to see you guys back, overall leaning towards favorable report.
Okay.
And a
And
little bit more.
we're super supportive of the idea. I mean, outdoor dining, they're in on the water.
And you're
Yes.
okay with the look of it and all that? You just want, you want the
Shaker
specifics.
mahogany slats would be nice.
You're so funny.
E-Pay. E-Pay.
I think the,
Maybe that'll.
tea
E-Pay.
chairs, tea tables,
Take
everything
the
look
place
good.
of bollards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So we're not talking about
All
Heights
right.
Crossing tonight? Remember the
No, we're,
Goddard is out.
the problem, we're not talking about Heights Crossing. We're gonna get some more information for you for next meeting.
Bob, one comment about Heights Crossing, that when you come back, we're gonna see Goddard School. We're not going to Goddard School this week, guys. The next application's been moved to September. But when you come back, they're kind of proposing, I think from just very preliminary drawings, like some vinyl, typical white fencing.
Yeah.
This site went to a ton of trouble to make this thing extremely curb appealing. And if Goddard School's gonna come in last minute and just slap up some vinyl fencing, I gotta tell you, this
Goddard's-
board is not gonna be on board with that. We'd like to see something that finishes this product in the most appealing way.
Goddard's problem is that they have the
Safety.
corporate rules require things that you can't get splintered on, and,
Okay,
there's things like that.
okay. We need to come then to a good compromise and
Well, I
something
know,
that's
I-
Hey,
that's
listen,
appealing, that's
so
also
does
safe.
McDonald's, but didn't Freeport, Maine tell you something different?
Yeah, that's right, that's true, that's true.
Well, there's also school regs too, or preschool regs that
Yeah. Yep.
dictate some of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so there's the main,
No wood
You had to
fencing in
say-
preschools?
well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I've worked in
that.
states,
Yeah.
I don't know about Connecticut in particular, but that are very, 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 there's no compromise there.
You can't move. There's
But
not.
I don't know about Connecticut, maybe there's a possible
Well,
compromise.
you have the state regulations, but you
Feedback.
also have the Goddard corporate requirements.
Well, that's the
And
part
they're
that you
just
can.
not flexible on.
Well, I don't know.
And
about
it's
that.
not like signage, these are all kid safety based rules, not how big is the sign or how big is the logo,
Okay,
you know.
okay. To be
So that's
discussed.
just so you
September.
know, I mean, we've tried, that's the way it's taken so long.
Okay,
Goddard's been in the picture since we got this approved,
right.
the project got approved.
Mhm.
So, and they've been working through these things, and that's really what's taking
Okay,
most of the time. So,
okay.
we got it.
We'll see you in September.
Thank you.
All right, looking back to, so this crepe sheet, the
So-
first agenda item was,
Right, but nobody's there, but it's such a simple application.
Okay, that's right.
Nobody's looking at it.
so let me title this for Channel 79. This is ARB number 21, 2024. This was the first application on tonight's agenda. It is at 1029 Boston Post Road for Crepe Choupette, next to Pliables and Reeves Pharmacy. Any
So-
comments?
Have you guys looked at that elevation
Yeah.
and how there's an awning that Playa has that's really high up, and then there's this one that is not?
Right.
But then the dimensions on that are not consistent with the dimensions on that.
Correct.
So there's something
There's something off,
incongruous, yeah.
yeah. So, I
Like-
mean, either, I'd say be consistent with the elevation of the awning, or show this correctly. It's weird, it's
I
not.
think they're trying not to lose their signage, would be my
Right.
guess, so that's why they put it under
Keeping
there.
this and
I-
moving
I-
the blade to there. And
I'm
so
sure
on
that
the
what the
side.
reason is, but it looks.
Did we see another rendering that
You
showed
look
all
on a
sorts of different
Google
heights of
Earth
awnings?
image.
No, I don't remember either.
There was another photo.
Oh, you played with the awning length though, or you said at a different grade. You could still place
You
the
mean
awning
the
there.
angle?
Yeah, the angle of it. You could still place the awning at the same location.
Right.
You calculated that.
But we,
That's
this is
the
not
idea.
helping here, hold on a second.
Hands is
All right.
up front.
Yeah, they
more
don't
Eastern
have
angle.
any
Yeah, I agree.
context photos. I think that's about it. That's all we're gonna get. Yes.
I went to Google and I looked at.
Yeah, I think that's probably what
Street.
Liz and I did. We just looked at a view
Yeah,
of
there's
the
no-
street.
Yeah,
it's
they
the
didn't
same
show the
application
whole-
everywhere.
Just go to Google Maps on your browser.
What do you got?
Type in flyboat.
Yeah.
Don't send Hervé to Google. No, don't do that to Hervé. No, you gotta pass your phone around. He's good.
I started having,
We can't do that.
I started having trouble here.
Breaking out a sweat.
Google Maps?
Did you see how
With this
casually,
computer?
You've
did
done
you see
it
how
right there.
casually Dave said, just go to Google Maps.
Just Google it.
You can actually.
You
I'm
got
sure
it
I
right
can,
there.
but where is it?
It's
Down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be Chrome.
That'll work.
Okay.
That works, so
Go
Google,
ahead.
go to Google Chrome and just open up a new
New browser.
tab. Yeah,
Good.
and then just type in the address.
Wow.
1029 Boston Post Road.
New skill.
1029.
I thought it was 1027.
Boston Post Road. 1029 Boston Post Road? I don't know. What-
1026.
There he is.
Oh, it's 1027.
It says 1029 in the application.
Whatever, it's gonna pop
I'm just
up
reading
with
it
the-
like that.
There you
1029
go.
is
There you go.
Now,
Revolution.
there
There you
you
go,
go.
boom.
Ta-da.
Wow.
So the pliable one is higher than,
So Crepes
It's pretty-
Choupette is right here.
Yeah.
and look at the corner restaurants one.
Playa Bowls there, and then
And
this guy is
Charlie's
way
as well.
low.
Yeah, Charlie's is.
Yeah, but different facade.
Yeah.
There's some separation
Yeah, I
when
did.
they're right
I
next
still
to each
think
other.
of it as.
I mean,
I see the point.
I
Why
can't.
not they be the same height, put the, the name on the front of
On
the
the
top of the
awning.
awning and just change the color. Do a
Yeah.
black and white stripe next to it and then the name on the front, then
And
they
then-
lose, unfortunately, they lose their
Yeah.
fancy script.
I think it's because they have tables right against the glass and they're thinking that will provide a little bit of shade. You know, if it's just a little lower. But personally, to my eye, it actually felt a little low, like
Very.
off the ground.
Yeah, I think it was
Wow.
90 inches to the bottom of
Mhm.
Right, which is okay, but it's kind of, but anyway, so you guys are not approving this just as presented, maybe they need to.
it. Well, for one thing, like I said, the information is not consistent.
Right.
It's-
I think they
Between
need to
the
revisit.
section of the awning and what the
Yeah.
awning looks like. I agree with that. I agree with that.
I just think it would look really weird having the playa awning
Mhm.
here and then their awning below.
Oh, do you?
In the same section of, it's the same building.
Yeah, okay.
If it was different buildings architecturally and there was a separation, maybe, but it's part of the same
Ah, yeah,
building.
okay.
I love the
This-
idea of it though.
This does not
Well, why
look,
don't they just keep their color,
this does
raise
not
it up
look
to
like
match.
this.
Yeah, take that color, take the black and white stripe, move it right up next to the blue and put their drop on the front just like pliable and
Like
put their
from
name
my
on
angle,
the
it's like-
Maybe have so thicker
The
band
plywood
and say
goes
Crepes
out far
Choupette
enough
here.
for give some shade.
Yeah, except I don't, oh, yeah.
Then the problem is their blade sign's gonna get lost.
Yeah, they
They're
talked
moving
about,
that.
they
They're
talked about
moving
moving
that
that
over.
down. He sees us
Just
relocate.
over to that next.
So let them
section.
know that we're in support of the idea, but how it's been executed, is not good, is not favorable. So they have to come back with a new proposal, different heights,
But
possibly
they're
moving
not
or
here to
something.
explain
Yeah.
anyway. That's September. Okay.
I think
See
it'd be
you in
helpful to
September.
see,
This is
like
good
if I can
song.
draw
Yeah.
in
The whole elevation.
the whole
of the building.
elevation
Yeah.
to show
Oh,
how it
that's great.
interacts with the plyo.
Mhm.
All right, we tried.
Did they say who was putting in, whose awning this is, who's putting it in?
No.
The name on the application?
Baywater Properties.
Okay, so
I know
They
this was
were-
supposed to be here.
there were two certificates issued between the last ARB meeting and this one for Lash Vault and the VCA Darien Animal Hospital. They both provided material that we asked for and were sent through. The VCA Hospital did provide a company policy,
To use all
general
lowercase.
design standard that explain why they wouldn't put a capital A and a capital, is it the hospital, H
Yep.
on the thing, because they're rebranding all their different locations with that exact lowercase. So there was no option for them to do anything. And so the sizes were okay, the letters were okay, so it went through. And Lash, I think Liz can attest that I did quite a bit of graphic work, which it's not my specialty at all, but I did some suggestion of what that bracket would look like with a bar above, and then that was not drawn anywhere, but try to give them the direction so she's not held back with what she needs to do, because she didn't have anybody doing any Photoshop, so I tried to do the best I could to provide some direction. Same with the lettering,
Awesome.
so
All
she
right.
could do it. All right.
Way to close out old business. Okay.
And the minutes,
The minutes are provided, actually not by Sean, but by Dave Riley.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
So
Those
that's
last
wrong.
ones.
So that's minutes of tonight by Sean, but
Yeah.
this is the minutes of from Dave Riley.
Yep, those look great to me. All in favor of the minutes? The
Aye.
first, second?
So by the way, no pressure for the minutes taker, but I typically use
I'll give it
what's
to you in
in the
2 months.
minutes in the comments when I do administrative certificates.
Yeah.
So I will say, here are the discussion notes, and I will grab whomever took the notes, literally, copy paste them, so that there's a record. If Liz has additional comments on the viewpoint, I will grab her comments, I'll just say additional comments by the chairman, and then show the graphic modification before I say this is now approved administratively, you can file your building permit and zoning permit. But it's important because those minutes have always been, in my mind, I used to do minutes of Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Appeals in my previous job. The minutes are a good, strong legal standing of what happened. And so they should be able to be quoted, and I like quoting them, no matter what they look like. Of course, that quotes and stuff, but just make sure that they are, you know that the minutes are very helpful, and you should know whomever is taking the minutes that they are being used, especially in the case of administrative certificates.
Yeah.
So thank you for the minute takers.
Dave just trumped all you all and sent them in the next day, within 24 hours. So now you all like,
Yeah, that was pretty
you can-
impressive.
Alex
That was
does
pretty
that too.
impressive.
Yeah.
I type I have it set
Yeah.
before the meeting.
Yeah.
So I type it during the meetings
Just-
because
yeah.
I don't have time.
Yeah,
to do
it's
it.
brilliant. You do
I-
the same thing,
exactly.
yours on the next day.
I just don't have
Alright.
time.
So you're up next month, September.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, there's no pressure between
Liz decides the list.
I know, well, it's alphabetical.
Oh, okay. It is.
Dave
No, I-
Humphrey, you're here in November, and then Hart and Janice are the other ones. You're gonna mark it. Okay. So that should close out our business. It is 8:43 PM. We're gonna adjourn the meeting. Thank you guys.